Well, it's a very warm welcome back to a second half independent off-tube studio commentary. It's the early kick-off in the Premier League as league leaders Chelsea take on bottom of the league Norwich City, and Chelsea lead by 3-0. We've had 15 seconds in the second half and already Norwich have given the ball away inside their own half. Rudiger's long ball now to Hudson-Odoi, puts a cross in, just a bit too close though to Tim Krul, as Mason Mount was charging into the penalty area, and the ball now played back towards Ben Gibson. Long clearance from him, but that one is headed straight back. There's two changes for Norwich as Janalis and Reece Malou go off to be replaced by Williams and Rashika. Will confirm the full 11s in just a moment. It's a long ball now played into the Norwich City penalty area. Grant Hanley, who actually looked like he had a bit of an injury problem at one stage in the first half, he's able to make sure that ball does get through towards Tim Krul. And the visitors now, they need to improve in this second half markedly, because I think that in the first half there just wasn't enough from Norwich at all. And conceding 3 goals in the manner that they did, they have to show some improvement, if anything, just for the sake of pride. It's myself, Paul Szczerbakowicz and Matt Guy taking you through the action. Matt, it's going to be a long half for Norwich unless they step up markedly from the first half.
Yeah, absolutely. Chelsea will be so confident in this second half and just toy with them probably in and around the halfway line and try and just cut them open with some passes at the feet of Kovacic and Jorginho, who picked themselves up an assist in that first half. 2 changes, as you mentioned, for Norwich that might put some life into them, but it's a hard task. At the end of the day, they just need to come out from the second half with potentially a win in the second 45.
Absolutely, just to show a bit of fight and set themselves up for their next games. As we mentioned in the first half, looking at Norwich's fixtures, there are some games coming up in the next 3 or 4 weeks, but they should be looking to take some points. No changes for Chelsea, so it is Edouard Mendy in goal with the back three of Trevor Chalobah, Thiago Silva and Antonio Rudiger. The 4 across the middle are Reece James, Jorginho, Mateo Kovacic and Ben Chilwell, with Callum Hudson-Odoi, Mason Mount and Kai Havertz as the 3 up front. For Norwich City, Tim Krul is in goal with the back 3 of Ozan Kabak, Ben Gibson and Grant Hanley. The 2 wide men are Max Aarons and Brandon Williams, who comes on for Demetrius Janalis in the second half. 3 in midfield, Kenny McLean, Matthias Norman and Milot Rashika, who comes on for Pierre-Lise Malou, with Josh Sargent and Timu Pukki as the 2 up front for Norwich, and it's a free kick. Norman was brought down there by Kovacic. Hanley taking the free kick from about 10 yards away from where it should be, but it's a referee. In fact, thought Andy Madley was going to make him move the ball. He's just telling him to hurry up, and Hanley's ball now down the right-hand side, headed away by Chilwell, drops to Sargent. That's a good ball from Sargent. Plays it into Rasika, back over towards Aarons on that right-hand side, but straight away Rudiger gets in the way. One number 2 blocks the other, and Norwich win the ball back in midfield, but only very briefly. Chelsea now have it with Kai Havertz, plays it back to Mason Mount. Does well there, Mount, to get the ball away from Brandon Williams. Now it's with Reece James down the right-hand side, but he's having to go back towards Trevor Chalobah as things just slow down in midfield. Still very comfortable for Chelsea, as it was throughout the first half. And Chalobah now outside of the boot ball dinks that one towards Kai Havertz, who goes down. I thought he might have been brought down. Referee Andy Madley not interested in that though. It goes back to Tim Krul. And long left-footed clearance now from Krul, but that's straight onto the head of Antonio Rudiger. Heads it forward to Mateo Kovacic. Back now with Jorginho, overplays that slightly, and Sargent gets in the way, wins that ball back, and now Pukki is able to go on a run, skips away from Thiago Silva, finds support from Brandon Williams down the left-hand side. Williams back to Pukki on the overlap, gets all the way to the byline, but he's under a bit of pressure there from Silva, can't get the ball into the box himself, having to play it back to Williams, plays it into McLean. Now it's Norman who clips the ball into the box. It's not a bad idea, and it just gets away from Sargent, and that's probably the best bit of passing play we've seen from Norwich in the game.
Yeah, it was better from Norwich, absolutely, and a nice little ball over the top from Norman in the end, but Rudiger read it well, didn't he, and just held Sargent off. But good work down the left. Brandon Williams getting involved as well. Pukki obviously didn't have the pace to get past Thiago Silva, but it was a good move nonetheless, and the way that Williams kept hold of possession was good as well when he turned back towards his own goal and then cut the ball inside. So positive signs.
Absolutely, and that's we need to see more of that from Norwich. They won the ball back again in midfield, and it's a nice touch on there from Masika trying to get the ball in towards Pukki. Good challenge though from Thiago Silva as Reece James goes on the run down the right-hand side. Combination of Rasika and Williams are able to stop the Chelsea right back, right wing back. He can pretty much play as a right winger, Reece James, with the qualities that he has. And it's James to take the throw on the right-hand side, gets it into Mount, back to James. And that's certainly been a theme, I think, that quite a few Chelsea fans have appreciated, that there is just that little bit more promotion of youth players, which in that earlier sort of phase of the Abramovich era, there wasn't much chance for the youth players to get in. Famously, Chelsea had, I think, about 30 players out on loan at one stage, didn't they?
Yeah, absolutely. It's part of their model, not just to bring players through and hopefully bed them into the team, but also the transfer policy, isn't it? It helps with obviously gaining some profit from that, which allows them to spend more on bigger names like the likes of Havertz from abroad. So it does help, and they've got a number of young players in the squad now, which I'm sure will please Chelsea fans a lot. Absolutely,
yeah. It just gives you that bit more of a connection, especially these days when, of course, the Premier League players and their lifestyles just seem so distant from what the regular fan has. But certainly getting a few more players who have been at Chelsea. Mount, of course, has been at Chelsea since he was a very young boy. But the ball now played in towards the Norwich penalty area. Easy save there in the end for Tim Krul. And the ball now played up towards Pukki, but that's well read by Chalobah. And then a great ball from Jorginho to play in Havertz. Havertz in the box, a bit of a tight angle, has to go on his right foot, and he was well marked in the end there by Hanley. Wouldn't let Havertz get a shot away, and it's out for a corner.
Yeah, it was good work from Chelsea, wasn't it, down that right-hand side. Havertz confident to go on his right foot. He didn't strike one earlier on in the first half, did he, with as much venom as he did on that one, but it was good covering defending in the end. But Tuchel is frustrated on the sidelines.
He is
3-0 up.
Yeah, he's a perfectionist. It's 3, but it could be 4, it could be 5. He wants his side to carry on until the very last minute, and that was a good chance for Havertz. But now a corner kick on the right-hand side to be taken by Ben Chilwell. Whole line of players inside the 6-yard box. Jorginho's just come to the edge of the area for the short ball, but it is Chilwell whipping that one in. It's punched up in the air by Krul, not too much distance. Now it's volleyed away with a bit more purpose by Williams towards the halfway line, and then there's going to be a free kick in favour of Chelsea there after Rasika bumps into his man.
Yeah, and Andy Madley does that action, doesn't he? He was saying to Rasika that Jorginho was looking at the ball, and you just looked at Jorginho and run straight into him. It was purposeful, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. And in fact, the proof of that is the fact that the ball dropped onto the shoulder of Rasika. He didn't even realise because he was so busy making sure he was pushing the Chelsea man out the way. But it is a free kick now to the Blues. Jorginho standing over it. It's level with the edge of the centre circle, just over on the right-hand side. He plays it back towards Chalobah. Now it's with Thiago Silva over to Rudiger. Down the left here for Ben Chilwell, who had some good moments in that game. But just as I say that, it's a poor ball from Chilwell. It's played to the edge of the area. Great chance here for Norwich. The strike from Rasika is charged down by Edouard Mendy, who had some real heroics for Chelsea in the second half against Brentford last week, and it's pretty much the first time he's been called into any action today. The pass from Chilwell actually gets a deflection from Pukki, which takes it into the path of Rasika, and really he had no support. What else could he do? Norwich take a quick throw. We didn't even actually get a chance to see the throw because we were still getting a replay of that Norwich chance, and it's eventually out for a goal kick to Chelsea. But Mendy there, Alad De Gea using his feet to make the save.
Yeah, slide tackle from Mendy. Great work from him. He's in some fine form, isn't he? He's right up there with the best goalkeepers in the world right now. But you feel that Rasika's got to score in that situation. The way that it fell to him, maybe his touch was overhit and it meant that he had to chase after it a little bit too much. If he'd come a little bit closer towards him, he could have struck it earlier and then got it past Mendy. But the best chance of the game for Norwich, and it could end up being the best chance they do have.
Well, just as we say that, though, Williams just touches the ball onto Rasika, who bursts into the box. He just about keeps it alive. Norwich are furious here. They want a corner. And I have to say, we'll see a replay in a moment, but I think both of us live thought that might have been a corner.
Yeah, I thought that Reece James's left foot came down on top of that and curled it out for, out the ball out of play. Just see another replay here. Rasika's right behind him. He back heels it. And Reece James certainly falls on it and kicks it left foot.
I think that's quite a clear one, really. And Chelsea getting away with one. I suppose in the grand scheme of things, they would argue that it certainly wouldn't have made much difference to the game. But if Norwich were to get a goal back here quickly, just arrest this good start that Chelsea have made in the second half. As a long ball is played down the middle, that's a collision between Gibson and Havertz, and that's going to be a booking for Ben Gibson.
You could see that coming, couldn't you? The way that Havertz let it run over the top of him and over the shoulder, and then he turned and spun and was always going to get there first before Ben Gibson, but I don't think Gibson could have stopped himself going for it. I think he tried to pull out slightly in the end, but it's a heavy collision between the two.
It is. I think the problem there is in those situations that as the defender, he knows that his manager's going to give him an earful and his fans are going to give him an earful if he just stops and lets the Chelsea player get away. But then also, if he makes the collision, then it's a guaranteed foul. And because on this occasion it was quite a hard collision as well, it's also a booking for the Norwich man. second Norwich player to go in the book, although the first player, Pierre-Lys Malou, is now off the field, got substituted at half-time by Milot Rasika, who seems to have joined the attack. It's almost like they've gone for a slightly more attacking set-up in Norwich, but they need to, don't they, with the scoreline being what it is. Free kicks at Chelsea now, it's about 40 yards out, and it's Reece James who clips the ball into the penalty area looking for Rudiger. Oh, it just bounced a little bit too far away from Rudiger initially. It looked like it was just the right ball for him, and he just couldn't quite control it.
Yeah, nobody trapped that run, did they? It was Sargent who was looking at the man in front of him. Rudiger was free at the far post. It bounces up, and it bounces pretty sharply, doesn't it? It bounces straight up to the chest of Rudiger as opposed to coming towards the knees or the midriff, and it was a difficult one to judge. I mean, all he could have probably done is get a head on it maybe and put it across goal, but that's a very difficult technique.
Certainly was, and Norwich now trying to play out from the back and doing their best to keep the ball in possession. They just about manage it. It's good play there now down towards the left-hand side. Williams, was he caught there by Reece James? Certainly looked like he was, but no free kick given. Chelsea in possession now with Jorginho to Mount, back to Jorginho. And he's got Kovacic just in front of him. Plenty of space now for Chilwell on the left-hand side, who strikes it towards goal. It's a great strike from Ben Chilwell, but it's almost been done in slow motion. The fact that Chelsea are just able to move that ball from one side of the field to the other into the penalty area. Chilwell with the strike, and it's 4-0.
And it all came from Brandon Williams being caught upfield, and then Chelsea switched it to the left-hand side, and Ben Chilwell gets his third goal, scores for a third Premier League game in a row, should I say. And Daniel Farke just complaining, I think, that the foul wasn't given for Brandon Williams potentially, but another Englishman on the score sheet. Another Englishman
on the score sheet, and we'll straight away see the England manager Gareth Southgate. He seems to have an allegiance to his old club. They look like he had Aston Villa colours on his tie there, Gareth Southgate. But yeah, this all starts with, I'm not sure there was a foul on the halfway line, but a nice bit of link-up play here between Jorginho and Mount. And then once again, Kovacic in the playmaker's role. Great ball, but then there's still a bit of work here for Ben Chilwell, who has got an excellent left foot. But really, he has all the time in the world that he needs.
Yeah, he just had so much time to try and find that far corner. He's hit it beautifully, though, hasn't he? He struck it really clean. He slightly cuts across it, so it's got a little bit of bend on it and just curls into that far post. Max Aarons was a little bit weak in front of him, just turned his back, didn't he? And put one leg in the air, so it was only really one leg that could have blocked it. He should have come out a little bit quicker, but the whole defence was shifted across, wasn't it? And it was free for so long, Chilwell.
It was, yeah, and he had all the time there, Chilwell, and it's disappointing for Norwich, who showed little green shoots of recovery at the start of this second half. A double substitution, a bit more of energy in that midfield, but in the end, couldn't quite stop that last move as there's a Chelsea man down now. It looks like it's Kai Havertz. Norwich are in possession. They don't want to put the ball out. Chelsea now win the ball back. They don't put it out themselves, so Norwich trying to go on the attack again with Sargent. Chilwell this time does put a foot in and puts it out for a throw. Havertz has now got up has managed to get up by himself. We'll see from this replay whether or not, well, Hanley's going for the ball, so it's not sure he catches too much of Havertz. Their referee certainly was standing close to Andy Madley, but now a long ball played towards the edge of the Norwich penalty area. Hanley with a bit of a loose header in midfield, but it's picked up by his fellow compatriot there, Kenny McLean. And then Hanley going back towards his goalkeeper, Tim Krul. And rolls it down this left-hand side, but straight away pressure here as Gibson tries to get that ball towards Rasika, back towards Gibson again. A square ball across his own penalty area. Does find its target though as Matthias Norman now over towards the right-hand side. Max Aarons plays a ball in to midfield, and Sargent is brought down by Rudiger.
Yeah, good work from Sargent. Just backed into Rudiger, beat him, turned his body, and German could do nothing but go through him. But what a risky ball that was from Ben Gibson across the back, wasn't it? Havertz was in a position where he was more advanced than the defence was, so if he scuffed it any slightly, the Germans running straight onto it. And Norwich just playing themselves into trouble, really.
They certainly are, but they're trying to play themselves into an attacking position now. Ball down the left-hand side for Teemu Pukki. Put out of play there by Thiago Silva. As we can see, Ruben Loftus-Cheek getting ready to come on here for Chelsea. We'll see who he'll be replacing. I imagine it'll be one of the midfield, well, either one of the midfield two, Jorginho or Kovacic, or indeed maybe Hudson-Odoi, Mount or Havertz. We'll see what Thomas Tuchel has in mind. But that throw on for Norwich, it's stayed with Brandon Williams down the left, plays it into the middle now for Matthias Norman, skips away from a couple of players, gets a strike away as well, which is charged down by Chalobah. And the ball now played up towards the halfway line where Havertz is dispossessed, and a ball played towards Teemu Pukki now, headed away by Chalobah Williams now on the left-hand side, stopped by Hudson-Odoi, and it is out for a throw to Norwich. And it's Ben Gibson waiting to take it. Loftus-Cheek just getting his final instructions there in terms of formations where he needs to position himself.
There was one former Chelsea manager, I can't remember who it was now, but did often try to play him as a striker. Was it Antonio Conte in about three? He often, a couple of times he brought Ruben Loftus-Cheek on as a striker, so I wouldn't be surprised if Havertz, given that he just had a knock, Loftus-Cheek maybe goes up top. I mean, everyone behind him has played so well, haven't they? So.
Absolutely. It's not beyond the realms that they could do that. Looking at that Chelsea bench, there's no one really screaming sort of number 9 on that bench. There's plenty of wide forwards, as in Loftus-Cheek. Certainly, Barkley can play in that number 10 role. Saul Niguez and Ziyech. Another 2 players that are more suited to a wide role. But here come Chelsea now with Reece James. Gets that ball in towards Mason Mount. Mount has got Havertz for support. He tries to skip past McLean. He does skip past McLean. He can't get away from Gibson, though. Gibson plays the ball back to Krul, who clears it down the middle. Good header, though, from Thiago Silva. Wins that ball ahead of Timu Pukki. And now it's Jorginho playing the ball back towards Edouard Mendy. 62 minutes gone, independent off-tube studio commentary. Chelsea leading against Norwich City by 4-0. First 3 goals are scored in the first half through Mount on 18, Hudson-Odoi on... Mount on 8, Hudson-Odoi on 18, and James on 42, and now Ben Chilwell getting on the score sheet in the 57th minute. Szczerbakowicz has 2 assists, Jorginho has 1, and Mount has 1. It has been a very solid performance from Chelsea. They're on the attack again now with Kovacic. Gets the ball over towards the left. Oh, it's a mistake from Krul! What on earth was that? It was a cross. That was Hudson-Odoi putting a ball across the 6-yard box. It was far too close to Tim Krul. I think it might have got a nick off Max Aarons as well to deceive his goalkeeper. I don't want to completely just hang Krul out to dry here, because there may have been a deflection off Aarons, but this doesn't look good whichever way you look at it, Matt.
No, I don't think it will go down as Hudson-Odoi. I think, as you say, there was a deflection. So Hudson-Odoi's was simply just a cross, and it was a very dangerous cross at that as well. Oh, it's come off Aarons, hasn't it?
It has. But the problem is that, initially I thought that it was Krul that got a hand to it and let it go under his body. It does deflect off Aarons before it hits Tim Krul. But I think what Krul will be annoyed about is that the ball goes in between his arm and his body. It's one of those where he really should be making the save, or he could have still made the save. But it trickles over the line, and it's an absolute nightmare for Norwich. And it carries on. Max Aarons will be, I think, credited with the own goal, and it is going to be a midfield change here for Chelsea as Jorginho goes off to be replaced by Ruben Loftus-Cheek. Be interested to see if Loftus-Cheek just goes straight into that role, if they're going to ask maybe Mount to sit a bit deeper. He's played in that midfield 4 before. But for the time being, Loftus-Cheek looks like he has got into that midfield role.
Yeah, and Jorginho picking up his first assist of the season today, so he's had a solid performance, but no need to really risk him, is there, given that you're 5-0 up now. Loftus-Cheek coming on, another one of these tinker changes that Tuchel likes, that he likes to give everybody minutes, doesn't he? Loftus-Cheek, he's been out and about in different clubs, hasn't he, and Crystal Palace and Fulham in and around London. He's never really established that position at Chelsea, but he's certainly a very good squad player.
He is, and his, as I say, the fact that he's got all the midfield capabilities in terms of his control, in terms of his passing, got a decent shot on him as well. And to go with that, he's a very tall, stocky player as well, so he fits the mould of being a sort of defensive midfielder to break up attacks, and at the same time he can do a lot in attack. But that's a really clumsy challenge, and Norwich City's afternoon is going from bad to worse, because Ben Gibson has just slid in and has got himself a second yellow card. Effectively, he's jumping from a sinking ship in this game.
Yeah, I don't know what he's doing there. I don't know. He's absolutely flown in, hasn't he? Within 10 minutes, he's got them 2 yellow cards. He's flown into that tackle for Reece James. He thumps the ball just above the...
I mean, it was a good professional touch there from Gibson, that he had a quick sort of mini handshake there with Thomas Tuchel as he was going, as if to say, look, I'm sorry, there was no intent in what I did there, because he does go right through Reece James. It's a nasty challenge, and as soon as he does the challenge, he turns to the referee, goes, "Oh no, ref, no, please not." But as I say, he doesn't actually catch Hudson. It doesn't actually catch James too much with the right foot that was sliding in, but it was the second foot that just brings him down. And Gibson knows there was nothing the referee could do there.
No, it's one of those, as you say, it wasn't like a huge contact or anything. It wasn't dangerous or anything like that. It was just, you can't go to ground when you're on a yellow card, especially in that position. It's on halfway. He's not in and around the box. He's just flown in to win it back quickly, and maybe if the game was tight and you need to win the ball back quickly to set your attackers going, maybe, but you're 5-0 down, as you say, it's just jumping from the sinking ship.
It is. It's not good, and you always feel as though sometimes there could be more in it with a red card. Sometimes when it's that blatant. But I think, in fairness to Gibson, he was trying to get onto the ball. It's just a rush of blood to the head, a real error, and now Norwich, already 5-0 down, have to finish this game with 10 men. Ball played towards the halfway line. Reece James as well, just a turn away from it. He was hobbling a little bit after that challenge from Gibson. Seems okay to play on now. He's brought down again, Reece James, this time by Timu Pukki. We can see Daniel Farke preparing to make a third change in this match, but now it's Antonio Rudiger, long ball over the top looking for Havertz. It does go over the head of Hanley, but he also knows that his goalkeeper Tim Krul is standing close by, and now it's played from Matthias Norman up towards the halfway line. Doesn't quite get through to Josh Sargent. It's Mason Mount who loses the ball, plays it back towards Loftus-Cheek. He can't quite keep Chelsea in possession, but Loftus-Cheek does well second time round, wins it back, plays it short towards Kovacic. Now it's Chilwell back towards Loftus-Cheek. His strike gets a big deflection, but not only does it change direction, it also loses a bit of its power as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Chelsea just coming forward with waves of attack, aren't they? They've got so much space and looking to strike on goal any opportunity. That's the benefit of bringing on a substitute as well in Loftus-Cheek. He wants to get on this score sheet now as well, so they're just going to continue to attack. They shipped 5 against Manchester City earlier in the season. It could be more with, let's be honest, 33 minutes to go. You could still see another 2, maybe 3 goals, and 2 more subs are coming on for Chelsea as well. Yeah,
Hakim Ziyech and Ross Barkley. And Andy Omo Bamidele. I did actually rehearse that a little bit earlier today. Omo Bamidele is actually from the Republic of Ireland. He's getting ready to come on for Norwich as well. He'll be their third and final change. He's a defender, so it looks like Daniel Farke is trying to shore up that defence with the red card for Gibson. But here is Chilwell now, left-hand edge of the penalty area, gets a cross in which is deflected away. Good work there from Aarons, not only to avoid the corner kick, but to get the ball away from his box. Then he's dispossessed just when it looked as though Norwich were going to avert the danger. It's back with Mount now at the edge of the area. Plays it to Chilwell. Back to Mount. It's chipped forward towards the edge of the area as it's still kept in play here by Mount. Plays it towards Havertz, who tries to backheel it towards goal. It's cleared, but not too far away. It's still a half chance here for Chelsea to try and get that ball into the box. But Norwich on this occasion are standing firm. Chelsea come again, though. There's just no outlet for Norwich at the moment. Hudson-Odoi's ball this time is picked off by Kenny McLean, as he's already been closed down by Loftus-Cheek, so he goes back towards the edge of the Norwich penalty area. Chelsea still cruising in this game. They lead 5-0 against Norwich City. Norwich are down to 10 men, and it will be Matt Guy to take us through to full time.
Cheers, Paul. It's been a moment or so since that red card that Chelsea have just been all on the gas, haven't they? And I don't think Havertz knew what was behind him, but Reece James could have had a great chance to score if Havertz had not touched it. But here come the changes then. Omo Bamidele is going to come on for Josh Sargent, so a striker for a defender. Played full 90 against Liverpool in the AFL Cup, played against Arsenal as well earlier in the season, and played for Republic of Ireland in the international break, both games that they managed to win. So the 19-year-old comes on at the heart of defence just to plug the gaps of Ben Gibson, and the Chelsea defenders, Chelsea changes are also going to come, and especially Ross Barkley is somebody that always wants to get on the score sheet or get an assist. Coming on, he's just going to be absolutely lethal in these final few moments. He's
going to be hoping to be, isn't he? Considering just how limited his time's been in the first team. Hudson-Odoi is off to be replaced by Hakim Ziyech, and Barkley coming on to replace Kai Havertz.
Yep. So Ziyech will probably just go like for like in terms of a forward position. It'll be interesting to see what happens with Havertz's position. Who goes in the centre. But let's be honest, the game sat as it is, it doesn't really matter.
Well, I mean, we mentioned a couple of times when I've done Chelsea commentaries, I mentioned just how hard it was for Werner and Havertz initially to bed down in the Premier League last season, and both seem to be showing more signs. The player that's just come on for Chelsea, Hakim Ziyech, he's still not really got going. There's been a couple of good European performances from him, but hasn't been able to get a regular Premier League start.
No, he's one of those that's now recognised as a squad player, isn't he, in the deep squad. But when he came to Chelsea, he started, didn't they? They had an unbeaten run of around about 7 or 8 games they were sat at the top of the Premier League alongside Liverpool, if I remember rightly. Then they dropped off. Then Liverpool had their injuries. Everton were at the top of the league. Then Southampton were top of the league, and they were one of those teams at the top as well. But yeah, as you say, since then, Ziyech has not been in the first team, as Barkley looks like he's in that sort of false nine position. After he's come on, as Loftus-Cheek plays it to him, now Barkley on his left foot strikes instantly, and the first time he gets the ball, he hits it.
You called it, Matt. You said that as soon as Barkley gets on, he's going to want to show his attacking prowess. He's barely been on the field a minute, and already the former Everton man pulling the trigger there, left-footed strike, dragging it wide though.
Just dragging it to the right-hand post on this occasion, but he's always a man that likes to shoot on goal as soon as he gets a sight of it. Norwich are going to have to be wary of that one as the ball goes to the right-hand side now with Omobamidele looking to sprint down the right flank. Chilwell just about wins the ball and keeps it in play. Kovacic now turns backwards and gives it back to the defenders. Kovacic has been fantastic this afternoon with 2 assists to his name. It's James now on the right. Well, I suppose all of the Chelsea players have been fantastic this afternoon. Well, in defence, they've hardly given Norwich a sniff today, as Barkley drifting with the ball to the left-hand side, gives it into Chilwell, looking inside now for Mount. But he'll go back outside to Barkley. No, plays it inside, first time left-footed ball, but it's knocked away by Omobamidele, and then in the middle of the park there is Rashika, who just gets a nudge from Chalobah. No foul on this occasion, and Ziyech on the right-hand side in the channel, out wide to Reece James, cuts it inside now to Kovacic, who maybe wants a goal to add to those assists. Now with Rudiger, he always fancies his chances shooting from distance, as does Chilwell. And that's not too far away. He scored in his last 3 Premier League appearances, didn't score in the Champions League, but did for England as well in his last appearance for his national side, and he's got the taste for goals. He does.
That effort was just, I mean, even if it had been on target, I'd be backing Krul to say, because it was sort of almost going down the middle of the goal. That same strike had been going right into the postage stamp, then it could have been a different story. But on this occasion, it wasn't quite the clean strike we saw from Chilwell earlier when he scored his goal.
Goal kick then for Norwich City. 72 and a bit minutes played at Stamford Bridge. And off-tube studio commentary, Chelsea 5, 10 men Norwich, down to 10 men, but nil. As Pookie flicks one around the corner, Chalobah just stoops to head that one away. Loftus-Cheek turns quickly, foul given, but advantage played. Andy Madley, the referee, looked to stop things, but he carried on as Thiago Silva to the left-hand side to Kovacic. Barkley running in front, eventually steps over the ball now, does Ross Barkley with those typically low socks and shin pads. As he knocks the ball then off Max Aarons, goes out for a throw-in over on the far side.
I think it's nice that even in this day and age, with footballers being, the hugely paid stars that they are, and everything's sort of changed, I like the fact there are still those superstitions with certain players about shin pads in a certain way, wearing it a certain way. There are certain players that have to come out last and do these sorts of things, and I think it's always been a big thing, not just with footballers, but I think sportsmen in general are quite superstitious.
Yeah, I remember Daniel Sturridge used to walk onto the field backwards. He always used to
Paul Ince would put his shirt on as he was walking out the tunnel. So when you see him in the tunnel, he's always got his shirt off. And I always wondered what would happen if he joined a team where there were 2 or 3 players that had that as their thing. Because there's some that the players have to come out last and things like that as well. But certainly Barkley looking to try and make an impression since he's come on the field.
It looks like Timo Werner's just been passed some sweets in the crowd, and I don't think he quite knew what it was.
He wasn't having it, was he? No.
Des Kelly's having a laugh.
Yeah, there's a couple of media people just sat behind. It's nice how the two worlds meet, wasn't there? Of course, the famous pictures last week of the Newcastle owners sat just one row in front of not Ant and Deck, but Deck and Ant on that occasion. They actually managed to sit the wrong way round.
New owners alongside Amanda Stavely, of course.
And myself and Matt will be there for you at 3 o'clock off-tube studio commentary of Newcastle's next game under their new owners when they travel to Crystal Palace.
And their first game since Steve Bruce parted company, mutual consent after his 1,000th game last weekend in management. Rudiger just with a nice little Marseille turn in the middle of the park, just stepping in is Thiago Silva. Loftus-Cheek looking to the right-hand side, touched by Ziyech. Reece James wanted that to be lifted further down the line as Ziyech clips one forward. Barkley looking to get in at the far post, and that attack comes to nothing in the end as Reece James was really really annoyed at this moment, wasn't he, that he didn't let the ball run to him, because he thought that he could have run onto it with a bit more momentum and then whipped it in for somebody else.
Yeah, you can see he's looking up to the sky in frustration there, Reece James. He wanted that ball, but that just shows you that how keen Chelsea are, how every Chelsea player is to try and show what they're capable of doing. This is almost a freebie for them with Norwich. You know, not really showing much resistance in the first half. Every Chelsea player wants to get on the score sheet this afternoon.
Absolutely. Tim Krul from the goal kick knocks it to the left-hand side. It's flicked on by a Norwich head, but won by Thiago Silva. Kovacic now inside into Barkley, dropping deep. 60% possession it's been today for Chelsea, but they've had over 146 final third passes in this game, which is just pure dominance, isn't it, in and around the Norwich box. It's out to the right now. Aarons maybe looking to go down the line, steps back for a moment, gives it back to Omar Bamidele, who's at the right of the three centre-halves, with Hanley in the middle, which means Ozan Kabak must have moved to the left-hand side. It's a foul given over on the far side against Antonio Rudiger, who's furious with that decision from referee Andy Madley. Just nudging into the back of Rashika there. Pre-mentioned game, the team lineups are out for the 3 o'clock kickoffs. Alan St. Maximin, of course, one of the star men for Newcastle, of course, starts for them today. Had some kind words for Steve Bruce earlier in the week.
He did. Steve Bruce got some kind words across football after his departure from Newcastle. We'll certainly go into that more in the next game. But of course, with this game just gone a little bit flat now, we're just allowing ourselves a little bit more of a general football chat, because there really isn't too much happening on the field now, is there? Chelsea still enjoying the lion's share of possession, but not sort of tearing up the pitch now to try and do anything with it because of the scoreline being what it is.
No, I think the defenders are more than happy to sit and play the ball around, as is Kovacic. It's more the likes of Barkley, when they get on the ball, that it just puts some injection of pace into the attack. But Barkley just shifts off the shoulder of Norman. They're asking for the ball, but Kovacic goes to the right-hand side into Chalobah, stepping towards the halfway line, plays it over the line into Loftus-Cheek, inside to Kovacic, back to Thiago Silva. And, is just rudimentary possession on halfway for the moment for Chelsea. Norwich resigned to their defeat and won't wanted to get any worse than 5 goals. He did manage to score more than 5 goals in a game themselves earlier this season, when they beat Bournemouth in the Cup 6-0, I believe that one was. But they haven't managed to concede 6 in a game yet this season. 5 against Manchester City in the second game week of the Premier League.
No, you're right. It was that win against Bournemouth, and that was back in late August. And following that, there was defeats at home to Leicester, away to Arsenal. It's just been a very difficult start for Norwich, and Chelsea putting their pressure on now. Ziyech with the strike, a left-footed curling effort just wide.
Yep, Ziyech looking to get on the score sheet as well after coming on. Strike from deep like Ross Barkley, but this time just cutting in off the right-hand side. It just opened up nicely for him on his left boot. He is pretty much all one way, isn't he, Hakim Ziyech, on that left foot of his, but couldn't quite curl that one enough.
No, I can tell you there is a second goal at the Cardiff City Stadium, and it's Neil Warnock's side who have got a second goal this afternoon. Spurra from the penalty spot on 35 minutes, but Middlesbrough up, and now it's Payero on 74 minutes, potentially wrapping up the points there for Borough.
Yeah, that game also on this service, that early kick-off in the Championship. Chelsea play it forward with Rudiger into Mount, back into the feet of Barkley, looking to scamper forward with some quick steps and energy. Gets it back from Chilwell now, whips it into midfield into Loftus-Cheek. Good body roll there to allow it to run in front of him. Strikes from goal. It's saved by Krul. Aarons is there to clean up in the end, but it was in a dangerous spot where Krul had parried it out to. But these shots from distance are getting better.
They are getting better, and Loftus-Cheek had the time. As I say, he's a big player, isn't he? And he gets a lot of power into that right-footed strike. It's a good save, though, from Krul. Probably would have liked to have palmed that more to the side, as Matt mentioned there, just putting his defender under pressure. But Aaron's responding well, clearing it back towards the halfway line. But Chelsea coming straight back again.
Absolutely, ball into the edge of the box in towards Ziyech. Tries to turn quickly as there's a tackle from Kabak, as in steps Reece James to take the ball away from him. Kovacic turns it around the corner into Barkley through on goal. Save! Great save from Tim Krul, but it's taken 79 minutes for the Norwich goalkeeper to turn up.
Yeah, he's making some saves now, is Krul, and Barkley will be so frustrated, because even after Krul makes that save, Matt, we can see from the replay here, it's not actually that far away from going in. Gets his hand to it, and it's just squirming past the post there. Barkley can't believe it. He really probably thought he was going to get on the score sheet there. But it's out for a corner, taken short.
Yep, Chilwell plays it into Mount. Edge of the box now is that Ziyech maybe comes back on his left. Yes, he does. Strikes a goal, fires it towards the top left. It's another save from Tim Krul.
Yeah, this is the Tim Krul of the Newcastle days. I think he was away at Spurs one year, where I think he set a record for the Premier League, didn't he? Krul saved something like 20 shots on target or something ridiculous like that. And seeing shades of this with these last couple of saves, that's a really good one-handed save to palm over Ziyech's effort.
Absolutely, Ziyech had that sighted just before. This time decided not to curl it, but to strike across it and try and curl it the other way into the top corner. Tim Krul just making sure that it doesn't get worse than 5 for the moment. But as we cross over 80 minutes, Ben Chilwell now is wondering why.
Yeah, well, this happened. Anyone that goes to football will know that with 10 minutes to go, the reinforcements come in the form of the stewards to sit in front of the stand. And I think because it's quite tight there, Chilwell was sort of saying they're actually getting in his way from taking the corner.
He eventually does whip it in towards the middle of the box in the 6-yard box, punched away by Krul. Edge of the box is Kovacic, strikes towards goal. It's a shot from Rudiger.
Handball.
Claims for handball, and Andy Madley points for a corner.
He does point for a corner, but of course VAR can check this, so Andy Madley straight away pointing to his little earpiece there to say, we'll check this anyway. Ooh, I tell you what, there's hands there from Matthias Norman. Is it a case that he could have got his hands out the way but didn't? I'm not sure. I don't think Andy Madley's allowed the corner kick to be taken as yet, so we're still waiting. They shouldn't take too long over this, bearing in mind what the situation is in the game. So this should be a nice bit of VAR checking at hopefully a quicker pace. I think the only thing I'd say is that it's so close, but it does almost look as though Norman's trying to make a save there, as if he was a goalkeeper.
He's absolutely flung himself towards it, hasn't he? And he's put his left arm out. He pulls his arms in instantly when he gets to the ground, almost knowing that he's touched it with his arm. All eyes on Andy Madley, and he's going to go to the...
he's going to check it himself. Well, I suppose, you know, if it's a handball, the referee needs to see it himself rather than just be told by the VAR official. It did always make me wonder when VAR was first introduced in England, because the referees almost never went to check. Almost felt it's almost as though they needed a commentator in the VAR box to describe to the referee what was going on, rather than actually having a referee there. But he's only had one quick look, and he's made his mind up very quickly that even though Matthias Norman was very close to Rudiger, the way he's got his arms out is very unnatural for an outfield player. And a chance now for Chelsea to get their 6th goal. A yellow card for the Norwich midfielder as well.
Yep, Andy Madley gives the yellow card, gives the penalty, and it looks as though it's down to Mason Mount. So after picking up his first goal of the season in the first half, can he double that this afternoon? He's already got an assist as well. It'd be a fine performance. 2 assists and 1 goal so far this season in his 6 appearances. Can he make that another one? It's himself and Tim Krul against each other. Of course, Krul came on for Jasper Cillessen for Holland in a very famous game where he managed to win the penalty shootout. Cillessen not known for his penalty saving. Krul, yes, he is. So it's not easy for Mason Mount. Just takes a deep breath, looks confident, steps up to it, whips it towards the bottom right-hand corner, saved by Krul, and the follow-up is saved as well by Tim Krul.
Yeah, well, there was a bit of conversation there between Krul and Mount. It seems like Krul was doing most of the talking. Mount just had a sort of confident smirk on his face and hoping that he can dummy the goalkeeper. It's a poor penalty, very poor penalty from Mason Mount, because he just opens that. It's with the inside of the boot, rolls it to within maybe a yard away from the goalkeeper. But I wonder, is VAR going to ask this to be retaken? Because Tim Krul is clearly over the line when that penalty when that penalty is being taken, and I think VAR have just let Andy Madley know.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be retaken. You see it a lot now. You see goalkeepers with 1 foot behind the line and 1 in front. Tim Krul has gone forward with 2, so it's definitely going to be retaken when you see it. Ross Barkley instantly ran over to Mason Mount to say, can I take this one this time?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah, I mean, it's a natural reaction. The goalkeeper, you do step forward as you're about to dive, but it's one of those situations now with the Chelsea fans behind the goal celebrating that, but it looks like it's going to be Mason Mount to take it again.
Well, I just saw on that replay as well, Ross Barkley was inside the box, so I wonder if Mason Mount scores this time. If Barkley's in the box again, will he retake it and give it to the goalkeeper? Because that's the other rule, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I mean, I mean, we've seen penalties retaken for tiny encroachments from goalkeepers, and sometimes you see penalties that are allowed where 5 or 6 players have run into the box before it's actually been struck. But Krul out visibly behind the line. And it's take 2, Mount against Krul again.
Mount against Krul again, steps up for it, right-footed, whips it towards the middle of the goal, and Krul got a foot on it, but it's hit the back of the net. Mount goes up to Krul to give him some words. That was a little bit not needed, really.
Yeah, I don't think when you're 5-0 up, and I suppose Krul is a talker. He does like to put opposition players off. So I suppose Mount's just giving a little bit back to him. But considering that Mount's first penalty was very poor, and it wasn't because Krul stepped over the line that Mount missed. Mount missed because he just didn't hit it very well. He probably should have just taken that second one on the chin, particularly seeing as he hits it down the middle and Krul's actually very close to saving it. Gets a sort of a shin to it, but can't stop it from going in the back of the net. Yeah, and again, once again, he was over the line when that penalty was taken.
Yep, neither of them were great penalties from Mason Mount, you have to say. But it's gone from bad to worse for Norwich City. A man down and now 6 goals down. It's been a horrible, horrible early kick-off for them.
Yes, it has. It has. I suppose. Well, on the one hand, it means that. I suppose they've got all weekend to think about it now, haven't they? But it does also mean that they can be home by late afternoon this evening, later afternoon today, and they can try and forget about this match. As I say, the next games for Norwich are the ones that are important. At home to Leeds United next Sunday, then away to Brentford, and then they come back from the international break with games at home to Southampton and Wolves. And those are games where if Norwich don't pick up at least 2 wins out of those 4 games, then we're getting close to Christmas and they'll still be winless.
Yeah, absolutely. At that point, if it did get to that point and they hadn't won a game yet, there's all eyes on that. Well, there was last time Norwich were in the Premier League, that Derby unfortunate record of so few points over a Premier League season, only managed 1 win.
I remember that season where Derby were really struggling. It seems like Paul Jewell, after about 2 games, was saying we're planning for next season because he could realise he wasn't going to get anything out of that squad.
So Chelsea with around about 3.5 minutes to go. Mason Mount chasing forward, now looking for a hat-trick, of course. Ross Barkley should have scored himself when he had that one-on-one with Tim Krul. Krul also made a good save against Ziyech, as playing it inside his Pookie there. It comes off the hand of Mateo Kovacic, who puts an arm to the air just to say, yep, I understand that that was accidental. So given that it was, no need for a yellow card on this occasion for Kovacic. The yellow cards of the game coming for Matthijs Norman. Ben Gibson, of course, picked up 2 himself. And then Pierre-Lise Malou. A yellow in the first half as well. But Norwich down the right-hand side, looking bright for the moment as Aarons flicks the ball inside towards Rashica. Was he taken down, Aarons? No, said the official over on the far side. Loftus-Cheek holding off Pookie now. Good strength from him and rather bullies the Finn. Chalobah will bring the ball out from the back, but a really good performance from Chelsea today. And given that they're already at the top of the league, they didn't really need any more confidence, but it's a great confidence builder.
It is a great confidence booster. It's totting up the goals scored as well. Another clean sheet potentially. Doesn't look as though Norwich are going to get another chance to score in the game this afternoon. So it has been a good day all round for Chelsea.
Absolutely, and only 3 goals conceded so far this season, level with Manchester City. That's the 2 best defences so far in this campaign. But of course, Chelsea played in a game extra now. Brighton might score against Manchester City and take that away from the citizens, as McLean wins the ball off Loftus-Cheek. Then Loftus-Cheek puts in another tackle and wins the ball back. I have to say, McLean's been quite quiet today, but he's not really had the chance to go forward, has he? As Ziyech cuts inside off the right-hand flank, he's tackled strongly there by Norman. Then Williams goes inside and play continues. Rashica's then caught and the foul goes against Chilwell. I thought if one was, the other one was. If one wasn't, the other one.
I mean, there's particularly when you think that there was already a yellow card for Norman for the handball that he committed when he gave the penalty away. Well, I'll tell you what, I don't think he gets much of the ball there at all. I just wonder if Andy Madley was perhaps stood at a slightly wrong angle there to make that call, but it wasn't a good challenge from Norman when he's already on a booking.
Another red card would absolutely be compounding the misery, wouldn't it, for the Canaries?
Well, yeah, I mean, the fact that it's 2 yellows for Gibson, I suppose, is better news because it means he'll be suspended just for the 1 game. But Norwich, they don't have a very deep squad. They can't really afford to have too many of their first 11 out.
Yeah, free kick came to nothing in the end, by the way. The Norwich free kick from the centre of the field out to the left-hand side. As Reece James collects the ball for a throw-in. 89 minutes gone in this one. And, it's just about how long will be added on at the end of the game. I would have thought there'd be a couple of minutes at least just for that VAR check and the retaking of the penalty as Reece James goes down after being clipped by Rashica, so that one's going to be a foul. The way that our independent off-due studio pictures are showing, it's almost intonating that Mason Mount is the man of the match today. Would you agree?
Yeah, I think so. I think that strike he had in the first half was superb. He's also had an assist, I think just the 1 assist this afternoon. as well. And he really has been excellent for Chelsea. But Ziyech has looked bright since he's come on, and here he is on the ball now.
It cuts inside. Ozan Kabak just against him, but the play will be pulled back offside.
Yeah, two goals and an assist for Mason Mount, and plenty of good play on top of that as well. So I think if you were to look for a man of the match, as I say, Kovacic has been excellent in central midfield. Hudson-Odoi looked very good. Reece James was his strike was excellent, but really overall I probably would give it to Mason Mount.
Yep, it's been a good performance from him as the fourth official just puts the board up for added time. It's going to be 3 minutes.
I wonder if it was 0-0 or 1-1 if we would have seen a 4 or a 5 there, because we have actually had quite a few stoppages in the second half. But then I don't suppose neither Chelsea or Norwich are going to complain about that, are they?
No, we've had I'll just break off as Loftus-Cheek's in behind on the right hand side. Mount's just inside. There's a man at the far post as well. Loftus-Cheek goes all the way, miscontrols it, gives it to Mount, and it's a hat trick for the England man. He's got a penalty in between two great goals for Chelsea. The last one. This one was so open. Loftus-Cheek almost ruined it, but he found Mount.
He found Mount, and Mason Mount, quite right. Just quickly turns to the fans before straight away running over towards Ruben Loftus-Cheek, because without Loftus-Cheek, then there's no hat-trick for Mason Mount, that's for sure. I'm like you. I thought that Loftus-Cheek, just at that crucial time inside the penalty area, just took an extra touch, which meant he was getting a bit too close to Tim Krul. Is he going to? No, he's not going to be offside. Looking, he was very close there, but he was inside the line. Was Loftus-Cheek, and he just overplays it. Realises, I actually think he still wants to score himself here, but once he realises he's gone a little bit too far with the ball, he goes, right, I'm going to have to play it square here, and that's what he does. There's a grimace there just as he loses the ball, so I think he wanted to score himself, but as I say, I'm sure Mason Mount won't mind. That ball was laid off to him, and he gets a hat-trick.
Taken out Loftus-Cheek by Tim Krul, but he's absolutely fine from that. 91 minutes, and it's Chelsea 7, Norwich 0. It's a horrible, horrible afternoon for Daniel Farke, who looks pretty glum on the sidelines. He probably thought that at half-time 3-0 it couldn't get any worse. Well, Chelsea have gone and knocked 4 past.
Yeah, it's actually been a worse. Despite the first 5-7 minutes of the second half, Norwich coming out with a bit of energy, a little bit of purpose. At the end of the day, there wasn't enough in it. We're just getting the VAR lines now as well, confirming that Loftus-Cheek was onside. Still got a minute of injury time to play.
You mentioned it, potentially it could have been more at a time as well, because we have had 7 goals now, so there's the celebrations for them. Then we've had 6 substitutions, we've had a red card, we've had VAR check that one of the goals as well. I think we had the physio
had the physio on once as well. So we could have easily had 5 or 6, and nobody would have been wouldn't have raised an eyebrow at that. But with the scoreline being what it is, I think it's just a case of sparing Norwich a little bit of embarrassment, because Chelsea come again now.
Yeah, looking for an 8th in the final minute of added time here. Kovacic looking to flick the ball inside. It's a tackle from Amabamidele as Ziyech over on that far side of the field, trying to flick his way past Aarons. Does just in the end. Aarons puts a leg across. That was going to be a foul. Frustration that for Max Aarons, just kicking out really at Ziyech.
Yeah, it's just summing up what has been a very, very tough afternoon for Norwich, and it's how they respond. It's how they respond at home to Leeds United next Sunday. That's going to be the big question now for Norwich City. And of course, the next question is, can they avoid conceding an 8th goal here in the final seconds?
It's Mason Mount going to be over this one with his right boot, looking for another assist in this one. Can he get 3 goals and 2 assists? It's almost like Botheim for Bodo Glimt the other night against Roma. Got 3 goals and 3 assists. Mason Mount probably won't be able to get 3 assists, but he blazed it off to the edge of the box here. Kovacic flicks it onto Ziyech, strikes towards goal. That one's over the bar, and Tim Krul sees it go. And that will be the end of the game, thanks to Andy Madley's refereeing whistle. It's been a horrible afternoon for Norwich, who are bottom of the league, but a fantastic result for Chelsea at the top of the league. After 90 minutes at Stamford Bridge, it's ended up Chelsea 7, Norwich 0.